Hi guys, Janine here for Tiger Talk Thursday. I am with the lovely Lauren Pederson. She's in the house. She's a AA competitive ringette player and also Miss Ottawa World 2022. We had the pleasure of meeting when we were doing a photo shoot for Ivor Fashion, right? That's where we met.
Yeah, that was fun.
And we just got to talking, and we were talking about the transition that she was going through after leaving sports and pageantry. Are you still doing sports?
So not as much.
Okay.
Not as much either.
Okay, we'll get into that. But a little history before we get going. She's a model, a child youth counselor, activist, social work university student, and title holder of Miss Ottawa World 2022. She grew up competing in A and AA level ringette, where she developed a passion for intense sports and team bonding. Ringette was her main focus until having to move due to family conflict to a new location where there weren't any teams locally. This led her to try out hockey, which then became a new healthy outlet. However, in a few years, she competed in her first pageant. Placing in the top 10 at her first pageant, Miss Ontario 2022, she was crowned Miss Ottawa 2022 and went on to compete for Miss World Canada that fall. She placed as a finalist in Miss World Canada and won in the fitness category, along with placing in the top for all speaking competitions. Since the competition, Lauren has navigated life after being crowned Miss Ottawa and how to switch priorities back onto completing graduate school and transitioning back to life off the runway.
That was awesome. Thank you so much for that introduction. That was great.
No problem. All right, so we'll just jump right into it. Obviously, this series we have put together to support those suffering in silence, those transitions that happen in anything you do. Yes, the focus here is athletics, but pageantry.
Oh, it's similar.
Yes, we talked about this.
I swear it's similar.
Okay.
Because my whole feat, I jumped in after Miss Ontario, and I was every part of my life was affected in a positive way with pageantry.
Okay.
Yeah.
So how do you get into pageantry? Like, if you're going from sports, you just discovered it, or was it like sports were done for you, so you looked at something else to try?
So, great question. I get this all the time. So, I was always sports. Lululemon was my favorite brand. Like, it's all I wore growing up. And then
so I can see you.
Hey. and then I went to college and I was doing some modeling. I had some people in Kingston reach out to me to do some modeling. And anyway, there was a photographer that told me that I should get into pageantry. All I have to do is go to Miss Ontario, and if you get in the top 10, then you'll be selected to go to Miss Canada.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, well, that's really cool. And I have all these mental health dreams that I want to do, and I want to get funding for it, and they'll fund you if you get in the top, like if you win Miss Canada and top 5. So I was like, what's the harm? This seems really cool. And here we are now.
You caught me at mental health dreams.
Yes.
Tell us about that, because this whole series is really about mental and emotional fitness, and telling our stories so that we can all relate to what we go through. And especially it's those transitions in our life. So how do we go from, okay, we go to pageantry, but I totally lost track when you said mental health goals. So tell me about that.
I know, right? So honestly, it's a really interesting story. So I was having a photo shoot done. It was a bikini photo shoot. And I was talking about, because I just talk to people, right?
Yeah.
And I was talking to the photographer about my schooling right now, which now years ago, it was all child psychology stuff. And I was loving it. And I was like, man, I want to get free therapy for youth in Canada. And how can we do this? And I just was talking to him, and he was like, oh my gosh, you have to have a platform for pageantry in Canada, and that should be your platform, especially if you're continuing your education. And now I'm finishing my bachelor, but then I will hopefully go to my master's, graduate school, and become a youth psychotherapist. So
two things stand out to me there. I'm all about following the nudges and like kind of where life guides you.
Yes.
And I love that it wasn't even on your radar, but somebody gave you a little golden nugget, and you ran with it. And look at how it changed your life.
It's really, it's actually insane when you think about it.
Yeah.
Right? When you are listening and you're heightened to those little things and that intuition, and you follow, like when those things come your way, and you're like, oh, I'll actually try them out. You never know where you're going to go. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about what you struggled with during those little transitions, like in terms of identity. What was the big thing for you?
When you say the word identity, my whole body just goes, yep. Because my whole life, like I was put on skates when I was like, I think my mom told me 2. I forget, but I was on skates, and that's all I did. I was skating. We were always more competitive, and another level, practices. That was the focus. That was me. And then high school happened, and I went to a different school. Everything kind of changed. And then I was trying out hockey, but it didn't stick the same because it wasn't at that competitive level. And that's what is so interesting about you and your work, because you're like, that level is high, so that stress is high, and all that good stuff too is high.
Yeah.
So I didn't have that the same. But then when I went to college and then this happened, I found my passion again. And I found this, I was like, oh my gosh, this is my favorite parts of life all in one big competition. And you're working for something. And anyway, overall, those moments were hard when I didn't have sports or pageantry.
So when things are unclear, what would you do? Or how would you be feeling? Just so people can relate to kind of, because again, I like bringing up what we can't Google. If we can't find it on the internet, I want to know about it.
That's so good.
Well, I mean, because we're all human, and I find the filters and everything on Facebook, like, let's take off the mask and let's just be who we are. And I love that you speak about mental health. So when you were struggling, or maybe not struggling, but what did that feel like? Like, so people can relate to maybe what something they're going through.
Honestly, when I actually go back, because it's funny, because here I am talking, and it's like, well, Lauren, what's the real part of it? The real part of it is when I went to high school and I wasn't doing Ringette anymore, I was already figuring out, okay, what group am I going to fit into? Who am I? What am I? Where am I with this group of kids? And that's where it starts, right? And then you get your identity in that way. And I found my identity in other social ways. But no, I was totally lost. I was totally lost for years.
Isn't it interesting? You're bringing up a lot of great little tidbits here. Isn't it interesting that we try to find the group that we're supposed to fit into?
Yes.
Whatever happened to creating your own lane, right? Or showing up as yourself. And guess what? The people that are meant to be with you, the people that attract your vibe, are gonna be energetic.
Totally.
Like, we just met and we instantly hit it off. And
it's so true.
Yeah, and we don't know each other from a hole in the wall. But she's in my living room, and here we are.
No, I love it.
So I just thought that was interesting. So you're trying to figure out where you belong, and then what?
Yeah, so trying to figure out where I belong, and if I'm totally being transparent, I don't know if I really had that in high school. And that's also what's, now today I have such compassion for youth, for multiple reasons. And I really didn't know who I was. I go to college, I walk in there and I start learning child psychology, and I'm like, this is who I am. Okay, really cool. And I start doing some modeling, and then that came the opportunity. I applied for it. I got accepted. I passed the interviews, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is now my new calling. So then you find your niche, and then you're comfortable in yourself. Yeah. But you have to have something, and that's hard.
And do you have a morning routine where you, like, do you meditate, do you journal, are you big into visualization? What do you do to keep your headspace in a healthy fitness?
All of what you just said. So I have a big vision board. I update it all the time. Almost
I'm having a really big hot flash here. Menopause, ladies.
But I also meditate every day, and I'm big on, honestly, physical activity. I have ADHD, so that's the other thing. When I work out in the morning and I have an intense workout, I feel like, okay, I've conquered that, and then my energy levels, I'm able to respond better to clients or to emailing. I'm able to, approach my day much better. So that's a big thing, is working out in the morning.
Yes, and we do, those of you into fitness, and that's why when you transition to life after sports, there is the drop in the serotonin and the dopamine, and if you're in part of a team, the oxytocin, all the feel-good hormones, so it makes perfect sense.
Yes.
So working out, what else?
Yeah, the meditation thing is big, and also I prep all my stuff. So this sounds silly, but organization for me is huge.
No, that's big for ADHD.
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yeah. So every Sunday I have my little routine. I'm like, okay, what am I meal prepping this week? What are the foods that are going to help support me the best, that make me feel the best? And then I get up early. That's my other thing. If I sleep in, then I feel like my day's off.
I've heard this.
Oh my gosh. And I have to, like, my schedule book, my whole family knows, like, if I lose it, if I've left it in someone's car, they drop it off. Because that's how I feel calm, is that I organize my chaos, my positive chaos of appointments or whatever it might be. And that's honestly how I am today.
I think we could really serve that ADHD community here now that you brought this up in this conversation. So fitness, obviously calendar. What else really keeps you navigating that for you? Like what else, little tidbits could you maybe pour onto the ADHD community that if they're not doing, you would recommend doing?
What a great question.
ADHDers,
because if you're in extreme sport also, like, there's tons of stats with youth, and I study this stuff, that go to extreme sports because we hyper-focus on things that we love. So then when we hyper-focus, then we're able to achieve high achievements as well, because we're so into it. So anyway.
I think I'm ADHD.
Honestly, it's kind of interesting.
I am hyper-focused. Like, I can sit for hours. I can sit for not 3. I went the other couple weeks ago, I sat there for 20 hours and knocked out my playbook.
That's pretty interesting.
Oh, we need to talk more.
I mean, no, like that, but that is a huge thing, is the hyperfixation, hyperfocus, and it's a spectrum thing. But anyway, so when I was transitioning out of, like, Ringette was my hyperfixation. That was everything for me. When I was transitioning, my ADHD brain also was like, oh, wait, then what do I focus on and put all my energy into? So my ADHDers that are listening right now, where are you putting all that extra energy that you have or extra feelings or anything? Find an outlet. And if that's in self-improvement because you don't have anything else to allocate your time to, then it's in self-improvement, and that's fantastic. Whatever that might be.
Do you get, so this came up with one of the parents of an athlete that I'm working with, and she was talking about how a lot of people throw the label around a lot about ADHD.
Oh gosh, yeah.
What's your feeling on that?
Yeah, I mean...
Or we like self-diagnose and we joke about it, but I didn't realize it was offensive to people in that community, and I apologize because what you don't know, but she really opened my eyes to, ooh, maybe where have I joked about saying that, but is it offensive to you when people say that? So
thanks for asking that. Honestly, it's not. I'm very easygoing about it. But I will say, in recent times, I will have, like, I had sometimes people say, like, oh, I'm sure I'm ADHD because I can't focus.
Yeah,
and
sorry, and I just threw that out there.
I know. But to be honest, that's a bigger thing. But when sometimes, like, I just can't focus, you know, sometimes, like, I guess I think about it for a split second, but I don't think much about it because I'm a healed person. But I will say ADHD has so much layers to it. It's not just about those things that we know when we Google. Like, there is sensory processing differences. So when I was growing up, actually talking about sports, you have tags and stuff for your stuff. So my gear for Ringette, once I was doing a shoot, you know, like your team photo shoot kind of thing. And, you know, I didn't tie on my skates the same. Like, I was really young. I was like 6. And because I'm just going to stand there. But my sock didn't fit right in my skate, and I immediately, in 10 seconds, like 10 seconds, it's a famous story in my family, I start bawling. I'm like, I can't have it. It feels wrong. Sensory, huge, because we're already hypersensitive, and that's a whole thing about different parts of the brain. But if you have certain things with tags, that's another maybe sign of something. Now,
as in the tags on clothes bug you?
Yeah, if that's a thing, like, there's little things about sensory, and your face is like,
no, because my husband and I talk about this all the time. My daughter is crazy about us cutting out tags. She can't stand it on her body.
Okay.
Interesting.
So yeah, and the thing is too,
now here I'm diagnosing my daughter. See,
I know.
See how it just comes up in conversation and it doesn't
okay.
Okay.
Because I think the biggest thing is, like, it's a spectrum, and it's also like how autism is a spectrum. And I'm not a psychotherapist yet, or a psychologist yet. But overall, I do have some of the knowledge. But you can have a daughter or something that is here on the spectrum, so they are showing these tendencies, but they're not maybe at a diagnosis level.
Got it.
So it's still absolutely valid to have it in conversation.
Doesn't that feel like it's hard to really pinpoint?
Oh, it's so hard.
Seems like there's so many.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're getting off topic here, but I find it fascinating, and thank you for sharing your knowledge on that. So where are you today? Are you feeling good? Are you feeling like you found your footing into something new right now and you're focused, or are you still kind of navigating? Because when we were at the photo shoot, you were like, I'm going through that right now. Where are we today?
So today we're doing really good.
Okay.
We're doing really good. So that photo shoot was, just so everyone else knows, probably, I don't know, a month ago, maybe not even that.
Yeah.
I don't know. I can't think of time.
6 weeks maybe?
Yeah, COVID made me lose time. Anyway, so at that time, I was still figuring out where I was going to move this fall or this end of the summer for school, for finishing university. So that's also now where I'm stepping in my energy, right?
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, when you have that big goal to look forward to. And
yeah, but I didn't accept yet. So I'm like, I'm in this weird gray. I'm doing some modeling gigs on the side. I don't have anything distinct right now because I'm just finishing up being Miss Ottawa and having that title. Yeah. So it's like, ooh, this is odd. Where am I going to move next? And now that I have had that acceptance and all that kind of stuff, I now know where I'm going and I feel good. But yeah, finding yourself, like, get comfortable with the fact that you don't have to be a part of something all the time.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Do you read a lot? I'm just curious. Do you read a lot?
Sometimes.
Or are you just because you have to read for school?
Honestly, no. I have to read for school, but I actually really do like a few books, like Untamed and stuff, like self-help stuff. Have you? Okay.
I read the Cheetah, the first chapter. I was like, I'm a caged tiger.
Yeah, because you're a tiger. Oh my gosh, that's funny. That would be like Glennon Doyle. Anyway,
the reason I ask about that, because the top 6 self-help things for people to do for yourself is reading, exercise, visualization, affirmations, meditation, and journaling. So if you're going through a transition in your life right now, those 6 areas are ways that you can start to move towards getting closer to connecting and being in alignment with yourself so that you can move forward to that next phase of your life, right? And it really is that identity struggle. You have a really great energy and personality about you. Are you a curious person? Like,
Yeah.
Are you like,
yeah.
ooh, that's interesting?
I'm a sponge.
Okay.
I'm always learning. I'm always absorbing other people. I'm learning from them. Yeah, thanks for saying that. I appreciate that. Yeah. I'm very curious, open mind. I'm like, oh, what's that over there? Bit of a squirrel, but
I'm a squirrel too. Try having a conversation with my husband and I. It's like our buddies it's like a tennis match. Ding, ding, ding,
yeah.
ding.
Oh my, and people don't get it, but you do.
I do.
Yeah.
Anyways, we're so thank you so much for contributing to the series. Any last words for people going through transition that maybe I didn't ask about, or there's like that little magic that you're like, ooh, I wish I said that. Anything that you think like, I wish I said or told them about this, it's really important to you that you do in your day-to-day to help you bridge those gaps?
Yeah. I think we have to remind ourselves when we're in those transition periods, there's nothing wrong with us. We really think that something's wrong or we've lost our value or our worth. Our worth or value is not in a sport. It's not in your job. It's not in your title. It's not in anything like that. You're already inherently worthy and you're with value. Just because you don't have a title or you're not with something right now, right, like the sports, there's nothing wrong with you. You're just in transition, and everyone has felt this way.
I love that, because we had Kerry Joseph on here. He's one of the coaches of the Seattle Seahawks in the NFL, and he always grew up saying, football is what I do, it's not who I am. So he always said.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's really
good. And so that really stuck with me, and I struggled with that a lot. One of my girlfriends, when I was at her place too, when I was going through a period, she's like, it's not, your essence of Janine is not wrapped up in, like, at my fitness studio. I went through a phase where I was an athlete, identified as that. And then when I owned my fitness studio, I mean, this is kind of makes me want to throw up right now saying it, but I would say I was the owner of Insetto Studio Bar. And now when I look back, I'm like, oh, that was screaming with ego. And I didn't know it at the time.
I know exactly what you're saying.
But it made me feel better about it validated me. And it's just funny how much we attach to those labels.
We need to feel like we're worthy.
Yeah.
Right? And that's a big thing with psychotherapy and stuff, learning like, you already are.
Yeah.
And even if other people don't understand that and they're still caught up in that, that's their own journey.
Absolutely.
So you don't have to be working constantly. Like, when I see people that are overworking, that's another big sign. Maybe they're trying to do that because they want to feel worthy. But anyway.
Yeah, for sure. I get that. I feel like you're diagnosing me as you say these things. I'm like, check. And the gift to me of breast cancer was having to surrender, rest, and reflect and really get to know myself. And that's where I got to realign with who I really am and who I've brought to my entire life. But yet these labels were almost overshadowing the essence that was always Janine, and she was always there. I just wasn't connecting with her. And meditation and journaling and all those things had brought her back into focus.
The actual core of us.
Yeah. I love that.
That's interesting. That health does that, eh?
Well, we're so lucky to have you on this series. I can't believe we're at episode 14. I just started this a month ago. I actually have a wait list. And also for people watching, if you have an athlete or someone that you think would be a great story to share, that is the goal of this, to help those struggling in silence, to know that you're not alone, and to know that we all go through periods of transition. And when we can provide support and provide our own experiences, we can help hold your hand as you navigate your own journey. So I really appreciate you for being here.
Oh, I love being here. Thank you so much. What an honor. This is awesome.
We're the bright colors today. Anyways, have a great day, guys. We'll see you soon.
Take care.